Tonight, Valemount's mayor is crediting the quick actions of the BC Wildfire Service with fighting back a fast-moving wildfire that threatened the town over the weekend. Plus, 50 MBA students from UNBC headed west for a foundation week. And the Redrum Motorcycle Club presented a check for more than $1,500 to the Red Dress Society. Good evening and welcome to CKPG News. I'm Adam Burles. It was a harrowing afternoon for the residents of Valemount Saturday, a community already supporting hundreds of Jasper evacuees. A lightning-caused wildfire just south of that community forced civic officials to declare a state of emergency. Cheryl Jan reports.
Not gonna lie, it's been a trying couple of weeks. On top of the Jasper evacuation, highway closures, business is down, visitation is down, tourism is down. We will be looking to our federal partners with a business case of supporting the business community here, that's for sure.
That is the mayor of Valemount, Owen Torgerson, whose community was thrown into a state of emergency Saturday afternoon.
Shortly after 4 p.m. on Saturday, as we always do, watch a dry lightning storm. One finally did touch down on a piece of private property within the regional district, locally known for a high fuel load. Our Valemount Fire and Rescue responded in minutes.
The BC Wildfire Service also got onto that blaze, quickly responding with 3 heavy air tankers, 4 skimmers, 4 helicopters and 4 crew members. Evacuation orders were issued for Cedarside area south of Valemount and some portions of the community itself.
Hats off to all first responders, got after it quickly, and just before 8 o'clock we were able to end the evacuation order and have folks return to their homes and then readjust the evacuation alert boundaries to the Cedarside area.
And the evacuation alert for the regional district remains.
Currently, there is an evacuation alert for 56 properties in the area. The evacuation alert area and previous evacuation order area is just on the border of the village of Valemount and then electoral area H.
Valemount has been supporting hundreds of Jasper evacuees, but earlier experience has helped with handling the numbers.
I think the Trans Mountain Expansion Project set us up for success. The height of that project, we had 2,100 extra workers living with us. And so having 400, 500, 600, whatever the number is, I don't know. I don't have that number. We certainly can absorb that, and we'll continue to support our Jasper neighbors and friends.
In the meantime, Mayor Torgerson says the community will be keeping an eye on the forecast and waiting to hear the news of when the neighbors and friends from Jasper can finally start thinking about going home. Cheryl Jan, CKPG News.
Environment and Climate Change Canada has issued a smoky skies bulletin for Prince George. Much of the fine particulate matter from smoke originates from 2 out-of-control fires southeast of Prince George in the Utsa Lake area. The national forecaster says multiple regions across British Columbia are impacted by wildfire smoke or are likely to be impacted by it over the next 24 to 48 hours. Smoke impacts from local fires in south and central BC and the northeast are notable, as is increased fire activity in the Northwest Territories. Over the weekend, the Redrum Motorcycle Club presented a check for more than $1,500 to the Red Dress Society. Tommy Osborne brings us more on what the Redrum Motorcycle Club is all about and how the money will benefit the Red Dress Society.
The Redrum Motorcycle Club, Clayton chapter, held its first annual fundraising motorcycle run earlier this year, and it raised $3,240. Half of it was donated to the Prince George Hospice Palliative Care Society earlier in the week, while the other half was donated to the Prince George Red Dress Society on Saturday.
Our mandate is to bring awareness, and how we do that is by forming partnerships within the community. And the Redrum Motorcycle Club is one of the ones that have ultimately stepped up and said, hey, we would like to help.
Anytime you hear Red Dress Society or Hospice House, it's definitely a great cause, both are. And with Tammy's organization, we'd like to bring more awareness, and to do that we need to have these charity events.
The money raised for the Red Dress Society helps in many ways, which could range from accommodations for people if needed, organizing events like the Jack Family Vigil earlier this month, and supporting families in times of need. These values line up well with the Redrum Club, so the Motorcycle Club is happy to support it however it can.
We want to bring awareness. We want people to understand that sometimes things don't get talked about because the people aren't sure how to talk about them. We'll be the voice for them. We're warriors for the people. We're the voice for the voiceless. We support our community. We're big on supporting the elders, the youth, hospice house, Red Dress Society, the list goes on and on.
Community support is the key focus for the Redrum Motorcycle Club, as several members make appearances at many events like the Jack Family Vigil, the Dale Culver court ruling in April, healing fires, and more.
We're trying to break a stigma with bikers in general. We're the largest Indigenous-based motorcycle club in the world. We're 70-some chapters worldwide. One of our members from Alberta was awarded a spiritual leader patch, which not very many people have.
The fundraising motorcycle run is already being planned to return next year, and the Redrum Club is looking forward to continue expanding it to further support our local community organizations. Tommy Osborne, CKPG News.
It was a busy week for just over 50 Master in Business Administration students. They headed west last week for what's called Foundation Week, and it is the first time in the decades-long program that they have ventured out of town.
These first and second year Masters of Business Administration students from UNBC have just gone on a road trip to mark a milestone anniversary. 20 years the program has been in place, and this was Foundation Week.
Well, Foundation Week is our opportunity to bring new students into the program, bring back our second year students for the start of the second year, and integrate what they've learned and introduce everybody to some of the business issues that happen around the province, so you better understand what you're trying to apply the knowledge to.
The group toured a number of significant economic sites such as the Kitsim-Kalem Sawmill, Rock Quarry and Logistics Park and Terrace, the Prince Rupert Port Authority and Rio Tinto's operations in Kitimat. This is Laura Mueller's second Foundation Week, but this particular trip west holds special meaning for her.
I have a really big focus on Indigenous economic development, looking at entrepreneurship and the opportunities available. The research that I've been doing through UNBC actually hasn't been done in Canada before. So I'm looking at self-efficacy and Indigenous entrepreneurship, and the opportunity this Foundation Week to look at working with Kitsim-Kalem and the First Nations really is an innovative approach.
David Cole came to post-secondary after spending some time in the workforce and says the trip west has personal appeal.
The MBA program kind of fit a lot better with my lifestyle. So as a family guy with a full-time job, the bachelor program was a little tough with the full-time schedule. With the MBA, at least it's a little bit flexible, as well as the designation at the end of it. Being First Nation as well, it's kind of where my career path wants to go. So once I get my MBA, then I'll be pursuing something with the First Nations.
So it begs the question, why head west now after 20 years? For Dean Camp, the short answer is why not? But there is another reason.
The new strategy, which is about leading a sustainable future, the president, a number of the deans, vice presidents have been going further and further out into the regions to build partnerships. And part of the partnership activity has been around Prince Rupert with the Port Authority, it's around Terrace. And in Terrace, we're actually developing a strong relationship with one of our alumni who's leading the Kitsim-Kalem Economic Development Group.
Now the bags are home and it's back to the usual routine for these 50-plus students, albeit many of them will be a bit wiser for the trip. Cheryl Jan, CKPG News.
The lowest gas price in Prince George is $1.66.9 per litre at Costco. The lowest gas price in BC right now is in Chilliwack at $1.59.9 per litre. Manitoba currently has the lowest gas prices in the country on average at $1.50.8 per litre. Meanwhile, BC has an average price of $1.74.7 per litre.
CKPG Sports is delivered by Domino's. Join the Domino's Lunch Club with 25% off all regular price pizzas every day. Visit domino's.ca to join the club.
It was a rough Game 4 for the Prince George Kodiaks on Saturday as its losing streak extended to 3 games and the team is now at 1-3 on the season. Tommy Osborne was at the game and brings us the team's reaction following the loss.
This play sums up the game for the Prince George Kodiaks. The Valley Huskers find an open man, and several missed tackles later, the Huskers are on the goal line and punch in a touchdown. This was one of 9 touchdowns the Huskers scored, as the Kodiaks suffered a 48-28 loss.
System-wise, we're not filling the right gaps. We're getting blocked in ways we shouldn't, and we're tackling we were tackled shoelaces. We couldn't tackle tonight.
It wasn't the result we wanted, but we're going to come back hard in practice this week and get ready for Okanagan.
Defense, or the lack thereof, has been plaguing the Kodiaks all season. The Huskers' 48 points marks a season high for points allowed, and the last 3 games saw 34, 45, and 42 points allowed, respectively.
28 points is enough to win a football game in this league.
The game had a promising start as the Kodiaks scored an opening drive touchdown to take a 7-0 lead, but towards the end of the half, it was 28-10 Huskers. While the Kodiaks interception led to this beautiful touchdown to cut the lead to 28-17, the Huskers would maintain at least a 14-point lead for the rest of the game.
We believe we have a better team here than last year, but if we're giving up the same amount of yards, and there's something wrong, so we need to get to the bottom of that.
It wasn't all negatives, though, as quarterback Sawyer Thiessen put together a solid performance that saw him scramble for big gains and extend plays in the pocket, and the Kodiaks also recorded its first touchdown scored by a running back all season.
Sawyer's a competitor, right? He's got a fire that burns inside there. I think the more he's in a position to compete higher, I think we see a better leader and a guy who plays with urgency in those moments.
We just kept battling, and you got to win the individual battles, and so being able to rely on the guys and seeing the blood, the sweat, the tears, it's awesome. And you know what, we didn't come out with the win, but there was compete today.
The Kodiaks will be back in action on August 17th in Okanagan to take on the Okanagan Sun. Tommy Osborne, CKPG News.
And our own Tommy Osborne got involved in the play on Saturday. Have a look.
Set to the near side once again. Sawyer Thiessen hands this off. Xander Shane off tackle. He's got some room, hits the sideline, and he'll get forced out of bounds and takes out some gear with it. Local news coverage right there on the sideline.
Tommy and our news camera took a bit of a tumble after a run by Xander Shane, resulting in a tackle alongside the sidelines, colliding with Tommy and the camera while getting footage of the game. Tommy was all right and was able to continue working to bring you that story we just saw. Great work, Tommy.
Partly cloudy conditions to start off the evening in the Prince George area. Chance of showers and a risk of thunderstorm continuing in the overnight period. That should continue into Tuesday morning as well. After that, though, as you get into Wednesday, starting to expect a little bit more clearing in the forecast. So should be seeing some more sunshine. But of course, prior to that, here's our futurecast. There's several pockets of precipitation moving all throughout the province. In particular, throughout the day on Tuesday afternoon is when it's expected to hit the Prince George area. So yes, chance of showers throughout this evening, tonight, carrying through tomorrow for Tuesday as well, and really building in as you get into that late afternoon evening period. Here's our highs tomorrow across BC. Terrace with a high of 23. Prince Rupert a little bit cooler actually with a high of 16 degrees. Prince George also looking a little bit cooler for Tuesday, a little bit wetter as well, a high of 19. Valemount with a high of 21. Kamloops still relatively warm with a high of 32. In the Okanagan, Kelowna is looking at a high of 30. Lower mainland highs in the low 20s, and Victoria with a high of 18 degrees for tomorrow. Across the rest of the broadcast region tomorrow, Mackenzie also cooling off with a chance of showers in store, a high of 19. Fort St. James, a high of 21. Vanderhoof with a high of 20, also looking at some instability in the forecast in that afternoon period. Quesnel with a high of 24 for tomorrow. Across the rest of the country tomorrow, Yellowknife also cooling off and clouding over, a high of 19 degrees. Edmonton looking at a chance of some thunder showers throughout the day tomorrow with a high of 27. Regina quite similar, so hot, but also expecting potentially some rainfall to hit the area. Winnipeg a little bit drier, still quite warm. Toronto actually drying out as well after a wet start to the work week. Montreal still expecting a mix of sun and cloud. St. John's with a high of 23 out further east in the Maritimes, and expecting some cloud cover there. Looking ahead, chance of showers, yes, overnight into tomorrow as well. In particular, tomorrow afternoon and evening is when the strongest part of the day is expected to hit. So here's our forecast for the Burns Lake area tomorrow. So chance for a couple of morning showers to start off the day. A little bit cooler as well temperature-wise, especially for those overnight periods. Look at that. Wednesday, though, expecting some clearing in the forecast. So it should be a little bit drier than the start of the week, and then that will continue so far on Thursday as well. Mackenzie area expecting a chance of showers throughout the overnight period. That may continue into tomorrow as well. A little bit cooler temperature-wise as well. A high of 19 tomorrow for the Mackenzie area. Warming up a little bit, though, and getting a little bit more sunshine in the forecast for Wednesday. McBride area also looking at a wet forecast for tomorrow as well. A high of 25. Expecting a strong chance of showers pretty well throughout the day, in particular the afternoon. Quesnel area looking at mostly cloudy conditions. Slight chance of showers still, a little bit smoky as well, not quite as warm as it was today, a high of 24 in the forecast for tomorrow before things warm up again on Wednesday. Prince George, we're looking at a mostly cloudy start to the day tomorrow. That chance of showers really building in throughout the afternoon into the evening. So tomorrow's daytime high is 19. Things are shaping up to warm up by Wednesday, though. So Wednesday has a high of 26 and a little bit more sunshine in store. But prior to that, of course, chance of showers, risk of thunderstorms, and yes, smoky skies bulletin is still in effect for the Prince George area.
CKPG Sports is delivered by Domino's. Join the Domino's Lunch Club with 25% off all regular price pizzas every day. Visit domino's.ca to join the club.
It wasn't a night to remember for the slumping BC Lions, who failed to capitalize on some early momentum and then let a few costly miscues get in the way of any comeback attempts in a 33-16 loss to a determined Edmonton Elks squad on Sunday. The third straight defeat drops BC to 5-4 and 1 point behind Saskatchewan for the Western Division lead, while Edmonton improves to 2-7 and just 4 points back of a playoff spot. Jake Dolegala and the offense came out swinging with a good game plan, relying heavily on William Stanback and the ground game with an 8-play, 67-yard drive to start it off. The scoring drive ended with David Mackey's second touchdown of the season and a 7-0 lead while chewing up nearly 5 minutes of the game clock. Unfortunately, they would not find the end zone again, and the defense struggled to contain Edmonton's offensive line. The Lions host the 3-6 Winnipeg Blue Bombers on Sunday, August 18th. The Paris Olympics are over, and so is a historic Games for Canada. Canada's 9 gold medals and 27 total medals were both records for our country at a non-boycotted Summer Olympics, surpassing previous highs set in Tokyo 3 years ago and in the 1992 Barcelona Games. Canada also finished with 7 silver medals and 11 bronze and was ranked 12th in both number of gold medals and overall total among 84 countries that took home hardware. The United States finished in first place in terms of total medals at 126 with 40 gold medals. Now that week 1 of the NFL preseason wrapped up, we got a bit of a sneak peek into what the top rookie QBs can do. And tonight, CKP3 highlights the top plays of last week's action.
Starting off with Jaden Daniels.
Daniels pulls the trigger, looking for the deep ball down the sideline, and it's hauled in. De'Ami Brown, great snag for the first down.
If CJ Stroud last year is any indication, going second overall is the way to go. And Jaden Daniels immediately rewarded Washington's pick in his first ever NFL action. He showed off both his touch and his mobility as his one and only preseason drive resulted in a touchdown. Next up, the first overall pick.
Fame, Steve Tasker. Williams, play action, fakes it. Smoot doesn't buy the fake this time, but Williams connects.
Caleb Williams also impressed as he showed off his pocket presence and ability to extend plays and hit tight windows. He led 2 drives which generated 147 yards total, and Williams looked every bit as poised as the Bears hoped he would be. Finally, Michael Penix Jr.
Play now, Penix to throw for the first time. Has an open man, that's complete to Casey Washington.
The draft pick that boggled everyone, but it wasn't because of Penix's ability. Penix looked calm and in control as he led 2 scoring drives for the Falcons. Despite his solid showing, the offense will likely remain Kirk Cousins, but Atlanta should be happy knowing they have a starting caliber quarterback as its backup in tonight's CKP3.
That's all the time we have tonight. Thank you for joining us. Tonight, your last look is a view of Prince George from the Cutbanks. Thanks again for joining us. Have a great night.